few people have been asking me about how to use this Lendl pattern and whatever. One of the problems is how much string do you need for the center mains and center crosses. This racket is a 16 by 18 racket. It ties off at 5 head for the top cross, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 throat for the mains and 11 throat for the bottom cross. One of the problems people have is how much string do I need? This racket is a 16 main racket, and if I do 3 mains on each side were in a different color, that means I'll have 10 mains in the racket. The racket is 14 inches from the top to the bottom, so if I look at 5 times 14, that's about 6 feet. So I need 6 feet on each side to do the mains. Then for the crosses, I've got 18 crosses. If I skip the top 3 and the bottom 3, that gives me 12 crosses. The racket's a little over 10 inches wide, so that gives me a little over 10 feet that I need. So for my short side, I need 6 feet. For my long side, I need 6 feet plus 10 feet. So I need 6 and 16, but that doesn't give me any room to tie off. So I'm going to add to that 6 and 16 is 22. I'll add 1.5 feet for the tie off, so that'll give me about 25 feet. So I need to measure out 25 feet of string, and we'll see how much I have left over. Okay, I've got my short side 7.5 feet. My long side, I made the remainder of my 25 feet. If you don't have a starting clamp now, start your mains as you normally would with your flying clamps. And I'm actually going to use flying clamps instead of fixed clamps this time. And I'm going to tension the first 3 strings on the short side. Now I'm going to go back to the long side and tension the 5 remaining strings on this side. Alright, now that I've got all the mains that I'm going to string with a dark color string tensioned up on the long side, I need to switch back over to my short side. A problem now that I have with the short side is my top cross tie off right here is the 5th grommet hole. So I can't do the 4th then the 5th, because then I'd be tying a string off on itself. And I can't do that unless I put something up here to loop the string around to come back in to tie it off, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to string the 5th main first, then I'm going to string the 4th main. Okay, and the only reason I'm getting ahead of myself is so that I won't have any problems blocking this hole here. I'm going to pull tension on the 5th main. Now I need to clamp it off, but these strings are real far apart. So it would be hard to clamp it down here near the bottom, so I'm going to clamp it more in the center, just because it's easier to clamp it that way. Then I'm going to pull tension on this 4th main. Okay, and I actually went over this clamp here, so I'm going to be careful when I pull this down so it doesn't mess everything up. Then I can clamp the 4th and 5th mains together here. Okay, we'll clamp them right there. And I'm going to take this string and run in this third cross. So this will be 1, 2, 3 right here. And I don't need to weave it in there. I don't even need to make sure it's straight, but I'm going to get it as straight as possible. Okay, I've got the third one in here. Now I can take my long side here and start weaving in the fourth cross. Okay, and I'm just going to go over the first one, but it doesn't matter which way I do it. And then come across here. Then I'm going to pull tension. Whoop. Let me get this string through here. It's a little bit more friction than I want over there. Alright, I'm going to pull tension on the fourth cross. Okay, that's the one connected to the long side here. So I can take this clamp off. Now I could clamp this string over here, but I want to get some tension on this third cross. So I'm just going to hand pull it, clamp my string, then let go. And then I'm hoping the tension that I hand pulled on this third cross will hold that fourth cross for a little bit. I just need it for one string. That's all I really need it for. Okay, I'm going to pull tension on the fifth cross. Then I can take this clamp off. Now I can go on stringing as many mains as I want to going down the racket. What I'm going to do is leave the bottom three crosses for the opposite color. Okay, I've measured the length of the center outside string to be 11 inches and the center top cross string to be 8 inches, so I need about 18-19 inches for a main and a cross. If I look at two mains and two crosses, I'll need about 3 feet. If I look at 3 times around, I'll need about 9 feet. And if I look at tying off another 3 feet, so I need 12. So I'm going to measure out 12 feet of string. And I'll tie off this black string. Now that I've got this tied off, I can take this clamp off. Okay, now I can release this over here. I can clamp the third and the fourth crosses from the bottom together and pull tension on the next to the bottom cross. Then hopefully I can clamp these two together. Creates a problem here, but I'll tell you what I'm going to do is I'm going to release tension. I'm going to clamp these strings together first, or get my clamp in there. Then I'll pull tension on this second string. Then I can clamp it. Then I'll run in my bottom cross. Had a little problem before, so I'm going to cut a point on this string right here just to get it past this string that's up there. And before I pull tension on this and clamp it, I'm actually going to try to come across here with the next main first. And I've actually looped around so that I'm doing the main next to this dark string right here. I'm sort of using a needle and thread weaving pattern here because it's probably going to be the easiest one to use. Alright, I'm going to pull tension on this string. Okay, again I've ended up with plenty of string here, but I'm using a cheap nylon string here which tends to stretch quite a bit. So when you're computing your the length of string you need, you not only want to take your racket measurements and your actual number of mains or crosses that you're using, but you also want to account for that stretch. Evidently, if you're using a poly string, it's not going to stretch as much as a nylon string, so you want to take that into account. I've got probably maybe close to 4 feet left over here on the end, but I'm using a real stretchy string now. Now what I can do is I've got my tie off up here, so I want to use this string to tie off on the bottom. I think I'm going to do that one first because that'll free up this clamp. Okay. The only thing I'm doing here is moving the clamp as close as I can get it, so I'll have hopefully less drawback. And I can tie off down here at looks like 6th throat. Now I can get this clamp out of the way. And I can tie off this string. I'm going to tie this one off on 11th throat here. And I can remove my clamps. My strings are pretty much straight. Cut off my tails and I'm all done. That's how you string the Lendl pattern with flying clamps and no starting clamp.